G'day guys, so today we are going to be talking about the Hex Bar Deadlift. Really good starting point for beginners when it comes to learning how to deadlift, because it's just a lot easier to get into position. Now, there's going to be some arguments to, well, why would we go and learn on a bar like this when eventually you're going to have to get to the straight bar? The reason why you'd want to learn off this is because it'll teach you a couple of things. One, and give you a bit of room for error. So number one is the ability to activate your lats. Now, when we have the bar, or straight bar, it's quite a skill to activate your lats. So when your hands are down by your side, it's quite easy to go through activation of lats, and we'll talk about this in a minute. Also with this, provided your teacher is somewhat on the ball, we can manipulate this in order to look like a deadlift, or we can also manipulate this to look like a squat, and we'll go through how both work with this particular bar itself. So first of all, we'll go through the squat pattern, and then you can see the difference between the squat pattern and then the deadlift pattern. Now, I would use this for a deadlift, but you can use this, I suppose, as a really good variation for your squat pattern if, for example, you need just a little bit of a spell off the squats, but you want to keep that I suppose that neurological pathway open, so you don't sort of forget the little minor points of the skill set that the squat involves. So, okay, so let's talk about the squat when it comes to the hexagon bar. Because we have all this room to play with, obviously, right? We can manipulate this to look like a squat pattern, so I can open my hips up a little bit more and allow myself to come up and sit a lot taller. So a deadlift, you find, is very much over the top of the bar, and we're going to recruit a great deal amount of back muscle fibers. Whereas with the squat pattern, we're a lot taller, and so we're allowing our body to go down and up. So with the squat pattern, you can screw your feet in, knees are going to go out, and you can grab a hold and drive up tall, like so. Okay, very much looking like a squat because of how tall our body is. Now, if we compare that now to the deadlift is very much what we call a posterior chain dominant exercise. So it's very much starting from the top of our neck all the way down into our heels, activating a great deal amount of glutes, hamstrings, that type of those type of muscles all up on our back, right? Whereas with the squat pattern, it's very much a leg drive, so it's very much our quads. Okay, so let's talk about how, for a beginner, we would go about using this deadlift bar, or anyone who hasn't used one of these before. You can start to get a feel for just the differences in the stimulus of the muscle. So what we can do, or for those who haven't done a deadlift before, I strongly urge you to use this for a few reasons. One, the handles are right by our sides, but also a little propped up higher, so it's almost as if we're doing a block pull. So I'd probably, if you've never done deadlifts before, I'd start with this and then move to a straight bar on blocks, okay? And then work your way down to a straight bar on the floor. So, what we want to do first thing of all is create 3 points of contact through our feet. And the way that works is that we're going to rock back onto our heels, and that there is what I refer to actually point 3, okay? When you come up onto your tippy toes and stand up like a ballerina, you will feel points 1 and 2. Number 1 is in line with your big toe, and number 2 is in line with your pinky toe. Right, now why is that important? Well, again, this is the chain effect that we're talking about, is that your glutes actually control your leg, and so does and your feet controls your glutes. Now, they work together. So what we're looking to do with our feet is create external rotation, or torque through the hip, okay? However, we're not moving our feet, so we're not going like this. We're going to have our foot placements nice and tight to the ground, and we're going to roll out. When we push our knees out like so, we're going to feel this through our backside. Why Do we care about those 3 points of contact? Well, they're the 3 points, the anchoring points that we need to make sure that are placed on the ground at all times. So what I want you to do when setting up is you're going to rock into your heels, and then you're going to roll your feet down from point 3 to point 2. So again, point 2 is in line with your pinky toes. Okay, so you're going to have all of that of your foot placed on the ground, and then you're going to plant point 1, and that'll give you that nice 3 points of contact. Then you're going to screw your feet into the ground, or roll the weight out, push your knees out, and you're going to feel your backside switch on. Now, why is that important? Because when we come down to pick the bar up, we need to be able to push our knees out in order for our body to go in between our feet. If we have them buckled in, okay, a few things happen. One, we're not getting that drive through the hips and the glutes. We're taking it all through our lower back and our hamstrings. And number 2, well, the reason we are taking it through our hamstrings and our lower back is because there's just no room for us to go, okay? And we're very much over the top. So if I'm like this, no room for me to go. If I'm like this, I can sit a little deeper. Okay. So, screw your feet in, knees go out. What do we do with our shoulder blades? Well, whenever we do an exercise, we want to think of the acronym STEP. Stabilization, tension, execution, then we track our performance. So stabilization of the working joints. Now the working joints in this particular case is our hips, obviously, because they have to move. And then what could potentially happen is this roll over like this, which is, and will open up obviously our lower back, so that's a major joint at play, and also our shoulder blades are going to roll forward. Now, what controls those is our lats. Our lats is a big bracing factor here, and inserts there and comes all the way up and into the front of our arm, about there. Okay, and so by pulling our shoulder blades back and then down, not only do we brace our midsection, and we will also brace our midsection with our abs, but we also pull our shoulder blades back and down, bracing them at the same time. So now we kill 2 birds, 1 stone. So we want to screw our feet in, and by screwing our feet in, our backside goes on. That stabilizes our glutes, okay, or stabilizes our hips. Then we want to pull our shoulder blades back and down. Another tip for this is to think that we're going to reach for the floor, or we're going to keep our or take our armpits as low to our pockets as possible. Okay, and this is the perfect reason why this is a really good starting point for anyone with who's never done deadlifts before, because you can just reach for the handles. Okay, like you're picking up some shopping. So we're going to screw our feet in, and these are going to go out. Shoulder blades are going to be pulling down. We're going to reach for those handles first. Then we're going to do what we call a hip hinge. A hip hinge is the ability to go like this. That's it. Okay, so I want you to picture that you have a button behind you and you have to press it. Or if you have someone there, you can get them to, put something behind you and press it. So, great example. Hopefully you can see this is. Let's just drag this over. Is a nice straight pole, and what you can do is simply practice going like this, touch, come back up, touch, come back up. Okay, so that's a hip hinge. So when you do this exercise, again, screw your feet in, knees go out, hips on. If you can't feel your hips, or you can't feel your bum, hips aren't stable and potentially lead to an injury. So hips on. After that, reach down for the handles, but don't go down just yet. Make sure you reach on. Now when you do that, you're going to feel a bunching up of your lats come on, and then you're going to be able to, then you are ready to go down and pick it up because everything's nice and tight. There's one more step before you pick it up. That's the big deep breath in. A lot of people say, you should breathe out when you lift the weights. That's not the case. Air makes us strong. You want to take that big deep breath in, pick it up, put it back down, breathe out. Okay? Those with high blood pressures, faint easily, just be careful, because by holding your breath in raises intercostal pressures in your brain. It's called the Valsalva maneuver, and then when you let that breath go, all the blood rushes out of your head, potential faint, right? Which is why you see some of those big boys come up and they're like, yeah, and then you see them bang, right? Idiots. So just be wary of that. Make sure that you know your limitations. Screw your feet in, 3 points of contact, knees go out, hips are on, feel your bum. If you want to, you can feel your bum switch on. Reach for the ground, armpits are either going towards your pockets, hands are reaching for the bars, or shoulder blades back and down. Good ways to think about it. From there, you're going to take a big deep breath in, hip hinge out, pick it up, drive up tall, and place it back down. And you're going to do that repeatedly for 10. So remember, knees go out towards your armpits. So you're going to shoulder blades back and down, reach for the barbells, make sure your feet are on, hips are on. Okay, big deep breath in. And notice how when I come down, my knees go out towards my hands. Okay, don't allow them in. The cave in, hips are off, no stability, we're looking for our quads. Knees go out, hips are on, hamstrings, quads, glutes, all involved. Shoulder blades back and down, press through the floor. 1, 2, and away you go for your 10. Alright team, that there is how you want to use a hex bar. A progressive way to then progress from that position is you could potentially turn the hex bar over. It does make it a great deal harder because obviously the height isn't there, so you need to reach lower, knees need to go out further, and so on. Or you can or you can move to a straight bar with blocks. If you want to learn about the block pulls, look up the block pull video. Alright team, that there is how you use a hex bar.